Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to crumble!
I'm Joshua Kemble, and welcome to Joshua Kemble's Livestream. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for 9 years. And when I'm not art directing and working on illustrations and graphic designs, I'm working on comic books and graphic novels, and that's usually what I do during my streams. And while conversations can go all over the place on this stream, from spicy and entertaining to goofy and silly, one thing stays consistent throughout every stream. I'll always be working on art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to my live stream. I'm Joshua Kemble. I've been thinking about it, and I think at the beginning of these streams, I'm going to sequentially go through my guitars just to tell the story of my guitars, and then maybe do a cover song, which will demonetize the video, but at the same time, it'll be fun. So if you guys like these, great. I'm not going to practice these songs or anything like that, so this will be like a first crack, just reading the chords offline. But I thought it would be a fun way to just kind of go through a little bit of like music stuff before getting into drawing. So that being said, on a couple streams ago, I showed you guys my first guitar, which was like a Squier 2 Stratocaster. That's like a weird edition of the Strat that was released in like 1989, and I found at a pawn shop for like $80 when I was like 16. And that thing has been through shows and different wars with me, basically like different, scenarios and stuff like that. I started off on like really cheap, crappy guitars. And again, this is just a hobby. I love playing music, but I'm by no means going to profess to be like a professional or anything like that at it. But I wanted to go into my second guitar. Technically, the one I showed you guys was my second guitar. My first guitar was like a piece of plywood called a Synsonics, and I broke that on a stage years ago, back in the 90s when that was cool to do, for a battle of the bands or something we were playing. And it was like, it was a horrible guitar. So this is technically my third guitar, but the second one I owned sequentially. And this was my first acoustic. And this thing was $50, I think. Brand new. And it was a Jasmine by Takamine. So I have way better acoustics nowadays. But this thing is ancient. It's got to be from, so let's see. It's called a S35, and it's pretty much like a J45 ripoff. But it was $50, and it started to sound better and better throughout the years. I think I got this in like 96 or 7 or something. So this is like, probably like a 20-year-old guitar at this point, maybe even older. I'm trying to think, like maybe it's like 30 years old. But anyhow, so I had to do a little bit of work on this. Initially, it had sat in my garage for quite a few years, because it was kind of unplayable. And I went through this phase of like fixing up guitars, and my main acoustic was a Seagull, which I love, and I'll play in some future point. But anyhow, so I went through this phase a couple years ago where I was like trying to mod my guitars and like improve the ones I had, because I realized like either I need to give this thing away to somebody who's going to do something with it, or I'm going to have to get it in playing condition so I can play all my instruments. So anyhow, what I ended up doing was cleaning it up. It used to have a bunch of stickers all over the the front of it. You can still see a little bit of residue if you look carefully on the on the pick guard because some of that sticker stuff just wouldn't come off. I feel like now, as I'm older, I'm not really into the sticker aesthetic, except on my Strat. I love the way it looks, just plastered with all those stickers. Tells the story of that guitar. And I like some wear on my guitar, but I feel like putting a sticker on an acoustic, unless it says this machine kills fascists, like Woody Guthrie. I feel like if you're going to do a sticker, just do one bold statement. But the downside of having had stickers, you can see where the wood aged. So you've got like 30 years of age on the wood of the guitar, except in areas where there was a sticker. And that's still kind of bright because it never saw the sun or the weather. So in a weird way, the sticker kind of like preserved the original wood, which makes for like not the best, prettiest aging of the guitar. So anyhow, I know this may not be of interest to you guys, but it's fun for me. So I'm going to do this before we get into making comics, and then we're going to make comics. But anyhow, so the other issue with this was there was just gunk all over the fretboard. So I got like fret cleaner. I reset the neck because the neck was like unplayable. So I had to reset the truss rod. I got like a ruler to do that on guitars. I had never really done that growing up. I had definitely taken apart my Strat multiple times. Like that's just something most new guitarists will do. Eventually you see there's screws on the neck of an electric guitar and you start getting curious and unscrewing and seeing what's behind everything. But so I reset the neck, and then the main thing that was making this guitar unplayable was the tuners. And so I just ordered some cheap replacement tuners that matched the kind that it came with. And so it's like you wouldn't even know these were not the original tuners that came with this model. Because again, this guitar was a cheap guitar and it had these almost identical tuners, but these ones work. So the second I did that, suddenly it was playable. And just a good example of how much this thing's been played. If you look at the frets, there's just like dents in them from the amount of time I've played them. And then not only that, a good sign that an acoustic guitar that's like this, that has like a matte finish, you can kind of see it on the back. It's not glossy, it's matte. And the neck was the same way. And it's been played so much that it polished the neck. like look how shiny that neck is compared to like the front of this, which had the same finish, like that matte finish. But what ends up happening on a matte neck, if you play it a lot, is it starts getting real shiny. So this thing's been beat to hell. It's been gigged a million times. Especially there was an era where I was playing a lot of like live shows with acoustics and stuff like that locally. And it's hard to see on the stream, but there's actual like marks, like weird little aging marks where the finish over the wood has like cracked in lines on the side of this. That's just what happens with like vintage guitars. But I love it, and I'm gonna play a cover of the Boxer, which I literally looked at this morning, so I'm probably gonna botch it, and then we'll get into our stream. So this song's The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel. I'm definitely not going to get... I'm going to get demonetized for this. Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear it okay. I don't have like a professional setup or anything like that, but I think this will be fun to run through my different guitars and tell the story of them. I will say I bought this at a Guitar Center in Hollywood. At the time, they didn't have one local, so you'd have to go all the way to downtown Hollywood and go to Guitar Center, which is like this big thing. And I remember feeling like really cool for spending $50 on a guitar, which is dirt cheap nowadays. And I will tell you, Jasmines are just dirt cheap guitars. You can get them used for like $50. And they're not bad quality. They're made by, it's like Takamines Squire. And it's not a bad acoustic. It was the best. To me, it was like the coolest thing in the world at the time. I've since again like gotten better acoustics, but I still have a soft spot in my heart for this. And this is probably for like me, if I'm going to write a song, quite often this is the guitar I leave out because it's like I can leave it out. I don't worry about it being out of the case or like the humidification isn't a word, but like humidifying it, I don't have to worry about that because it's just like a disposable guitar. Like it's a $50 acoustic. Um, and so because of that, this gets a lot of play still. Just because it's convenient to have around the house. I'm not worried about like weather conditions affecting it. I'm not worried about like dropping it or anything like that because this thing's been through the ringer. So yeah. So anyhow, let's go to it. But I do feel like this is a thing that I think is kind of cool about acoustic guitars is like I think there is some truth to like as the wood ages, even when it's like bad. Like this isn't a solid wood guitar by any means. I don't even think the top is solid. So it's all laminate woods, but even laminate woods like start creating like this kind of cool tone as they get older. I think the wood like dries out a little bit and it just bounces more, becomes more resonant. So anyhow, so we're gonna play. Let me see if I can move this mic down, and then we'll kind of we'll work from there. And again, I'm probably gonna botch this, but then after I play it, we're going to work on comics. Okay. I am just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told. I have squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles, such are promises. All lies and jest, still a man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. When I left my home and my family, I was no more than a boy in the company of strangers, in the quiet of the railway station, wanting scared, laying low, seeking out the poor quarters where the ragged people go, looking for the places only they would know. Oh, let's try that part again. Looking for the places only they would know. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Asking only workman's wages, I come looking for a job, but I get no offers. Just to come on from the whores on 7th Avenue. To declare there were times when I was so lonesome, I took some comfort there. La 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 la. La 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 la. And I'm not going to do the whole refrain in the middle because we don't have a cool synth to do the or the like, you know, the thing that's like the la 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 like that thing. But anyhow, so that is my a very bad cover done on my the second guitar that I own, the third guitar I ever owned. And this one I don't know if I'll ever give away or sell because I have a soft spot for it. It's what I learned acoustic on. So anyhow, that is that. And I just realized like my voice was probably really low there. But we'll put away the guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'll play a quick trailer while I put away the guitar, and then we'll get into comics, which a lot of you are probably like, thank God. Okay, so here is the... let's do the trailer for Wordzoid by... you know what? No. We're going to do Christopher Runciman's review because we haven't played this one in a while, and you guys should be subscribed to Christopher Runsman's channel. He's amazing. Here it is.
Hi, my name's Chris and I like comics. I want to talk about this comic for a second here. I just got this in. I ordered it direct from my local comic shop through Diamond Distributing. It's Joshua Kemble's Jacob's Apartment. I really enjoyed this book. There's all kinds of comics out there, let's be honest. There's fun comics, there's superhero comics, there's young adult comics, there's adventure comics for kids. There's so many different things under the planet. But there's also an entire subgenre of alternative books. Real life, real world depictions in comic book form. Situations that happen to each and every one of us. And this is a fine example of that. If you get a chance, order this book from your local comic shop. You won't be disappointed. I can't sing its praises high enough. Okay? Check it out. Jacob's Apartment by Joshua Kemble.
All right, so we are here now. We're actually going to work on comics. A lot of you guys are like, what is with this guitar nonsense? It's just because I like guitars. I'm by no means an excellent guitarist. I'm not a bad guitarist. If I practiced that song, I would have done it a lot better. but it's fun to I like the challenge of kind of trying to play these things on the fly and seeing what I can do. And again, I know there's phenomenal guitarists out there, and I am not one of them. But I still love guitar and writing music and stuff. So, okay, we're going to, at this point, work on getting the shading done. I got my Young and the Dead shirt on to sport Scott Circland, which you guys can get on Amazon through Scott Circland's website, Circworks. To honor the fact that I think in this year, The Young and the Dead, his comic is going to be concluding. And that's pretty exciting because Scott's stuck with that comic for a long time. And I feel like, weirdly enough, that might not be celebrated enough in the indie comic scene. Just that, everybody gets excited about a new project or a new thing, but I think that also the dedication to kind of stick with and finish a project is a rare thing with comics. And I think it's one of the things that tends to separate those who have a catalog of work from those who don't. And Scott has stuck with this thing for, I think, over a decade, and it's going to conclude, and he's going to finish it up. So he said he was going to do it, and he's going to do it. And I think that's a noble kind of admirable thing. So I'm really excited about that. All right, let's get into it. So we're going to draw, what we're going to work on right now is shading. And it is Wednesday. So happy Wednesday to everybody. We're going to work on shading this panel and just kind of talk and hang out. So I should mention what this is. So this is Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning that I'm working on. We're working on page 95. So when we're done with this, we'll actually have 96 pages done, carved away at this graphic novel. And we're just going to keep trucking until it's done. So right now, this is a similar scene, but I want to reshade everything because I'm crazy. I could copy the shadows from the other, but I think the variation will make for a nice thing. And for some reason today, my pronunciation is really weird, variation. I don't think that's how you say variation. But anyhow, so we're going to rock through this and just kind of see how far we can get on this page. And during this stream, I think before lunch, what I want to do is finish this. So to me, I'm going to use hunger as a motivation because I'm going to get hungry as I'm working on this because it is about lunchtime. And I like to use things like that to motivate myself to work, where it's okay, in order to take a lunch break and stop streaming, I have to finish this panel. I know there's a lot of people showed up on stream yesterday, and it was fun to hear what everybody's up to. I haven't been doing night streams as much, and I think a lot of our audience tunes in during the nighttime, which is reasonable. um, so it was fun to see everybody and see what everybody's working on. We got a little sneak preview of Ronnie Gunter's his book and like where he's at on that, a couple of his panels. We heard some updates from Paul on where he's at with the Detective Perez series, and obviously we got that first panel shaded. So my goal today, I'm gonna try to be streaming a lot today, because I want to finish at minimum the tones on this page, but ideally it'd be fun to do the shading and also do a little bit of um, coloring too on this page to maybe even finish it up, which would be great and put us right on track for where we need to be, because taking on a graphic novel is an incredibly cool thing. So I don't know if I've told you guys this. I like playing Risk. I've played it on stream a lot. It's a game that's kind of silly, but I've just really fallen in love with playing it. And what I do almost every morning is I'll have coffee, and before I get into things, I check stocks, right? Like I put like $5 into stocks, and then I from there like play a game of Risk, just to kind of set the day off. And sometimes I lose that game, and sometimes I win it. Currently, my status in Risk is being a master. My long-term goal on that at some point would be to make Grand Master on Risk. I would love to be a Risk Grand Master, but I haven't been able to make that happen yet. But I did win my round this morning, which was really fun. So I'm gonna, like again, I do that like daily. It's really fun. I might on a stream at some point today play a round of Risk, and we'll see if I get totally trounced and defeated or not. But other than that, what we're doing right now is just we're going through and just shading and seeing where we can get. I'm also really excited about Artcasters tomorrow. Tomorrow on Artcasters, we're doing our year projection kind of episode where we're going to kind of project forward and see what we want to try to get done in the year. And I think it'll be an interesting show. I know for me, it may not be the most interesting of content because really my main goal is like the same goal that I had last year, which is I need to finish this book. So in theory, I should be done with this book by then, which is why it's so important for me to continue doing these streams to kind of hold myself accountable to, getting this stuff done. One of the things I like about posting publicly, what I'm doing is even if I have like, I don't have the biggest following, I don't have the biggest like subscription count or anything like that, but it does kind of like put pressure on me to actually do what I say I'm going to do. When you publicly have to say, hey, I'm working on this book, I'm going to finish this book this year. Or like you start a stream and you're like, hey, I got to finish this panel by the time that, like I need to shade this panel before I take a lunch break. If I suddenly left for lunch, I would feel like, wow, I just lied to people publicly. And like now I'm going to be held to account. So I think there is something about that. That's why Corey Kerr and I used to do a show called the 48-Hour Art Check, where there's something about like publicly saying you're going to do something. I've noticed that Paul's been doing this too with his Detective Perez book, where he's posting pages to his Instagram as he gets them done. And I think things like that can really help motivate you to get these crazy works called comic books done. So, yeah. Let's see here. So there's a very mild action going on in these panels, but I think it's good. It's like, her and Sophie, they're walking together, and you see this kind of resistance that that Elizabeth initially feels from like Sophie kind of getting close to tell a secret. And then that resistance is broken down because they're kind of becoming closer friends. I think it's like a pretty smart move on the writer's part to kind of establish that so clearly. So, okay, let's get Sophia now. Oh, wait, we're going to go ahead and get Elizabeth's parasol here. Is that called a parasol? Am I crazy? I'm having one of those days where I'll say something and I'll feel like, am I saying that right? Am I saying that wrong? You guys let me know. But anyhow, so yeah, so we're gonna just kind of work our way through this, and slowly but surely, we're gonna be a little further on the comic. And I think a lot of people don't realize that about comics. It's like these are, you show up, and a lot of the work is kind of this tedium of executing and getting things done, you know, and a lot of it, again, like if you look back, on the streams where I've been working on this, you can see how this stuff, like this medium, is so time consuming. I guess if you were doing just like AI prompts or something, maybe it would go a lot quicker. But I don't think I'll ever bring myself to a point of lowering myself to do that. I feel like AI, this is my own opinion, but I feel like AI is really a destructive force when it comes to art. But I also have this suspicion that it might end up in a territory kind of similar to like sampling. Like I like hip hop, I like good samples, and like one of my favorite hip hop artists would be Tribe Called Quest, and they did a ton of sampling for their beats, but they made something new out of it that kind of required a little bit of creativity, and I could see possibly an argument that maybe AI will become that for some artists. And I could see somebody maybe justifying the use of it, through that. But to me, at this point, I haven't seen anything quite like that would justify the use of it. So I guess the only other way I could imagine somebody using it in a way that would be like forgivable would be, for like, I don't know, if they're looking for like inspiration or something. So it's like almost doing a little bit of an art direction thing where it's curating some feelings for you, kind of like a mood board. I could see it kind of filling that in a way that would be potentially ethical. But I haven't touched the thing. And one of the things that I find very irritating about Creative Cloud is the fact that with like the update that happened, I think like mid last year, I finally hit it. But like every time you're working, you're making a selection, and it gives you a prompt that's like, do you want to use AI for this? And it's like, dude, I really don't, thank you. So I've hidden that option because I'm like, I just don't even want to see that every day. It's just kind of a bummer. However, I've also become very thankful that to me the practice of making art has never been well, it was for a long time like a commercial thing. But as I've gotten older, the more I care less and less about the work that's done for pay. The paycheck's nice on professional work, and I'll still take like paid work every once in a while. And I like getting paid for my books, but it's like, but in general, like if, I'd be doing comics whether there was a market or not. That's kind of where I'm at right now in my life, is like, I just like making these things. So, if people buy them and enjoy them and stuff like that, that's really cool. But to me, that's not like the primary reason to do this. So the weird thing is, even if everyone in the future starts just using AI to cheat and make these things real quick, I feel like on the plus side, I'll probably be making these anyway, because it's not like I sell crazy numbers of comics. And so to me, it's like I mean, yeah, sales would be nice, but it's never been about sales for me. So, especially with comics. So it's like, I don't know. Again, I'm really opposed to that stuff, but I also am not like super freaked out about it, because it's like, I kind of feel like, there's like machines that'll build cars, right? And this is my car that I'm working on in the garage. And I'm lucky to have a publisher that wants to, subsidize a little bit of that process. But at the same time, it's like, I'd probably be working on this whether or not I had a publisher. In fact, I've spent a lot of years, working on comics with no promise or any idea that it would even see the light of day. So yeah. So anyhow, that was a rant, but I've been seeing a lot of like ads for AI and just things all over the internet for AI, and I guarantee like people, places I've worked in the past that have salespeople who have no appreciation or care for artists. Um, I think those places, the second they can replace, humans with AI, and I don't think they're going to have an ethical, standing against it. Especially like, I don't think they'll have any ethical issue, stealing art, um, anything like that. So I think anything that's going to help the bottom line and feed the executives is going to be like kind of the route that a lot of those businesses go. But for me, I'm glad to work on art and kind of feel good about it and be able to sleep at night when I work on it. I don't know. I think that's worth something. But it is kind of a weird place where I wonder how long that. I mean, there's so many issues they have to work out. Like, I'm curious how long until there's like massive lawsuits from the artists that are being ripped off by AI. I wonder about a lot of those kind of more weird, prescient, ethical issues. Anyhow, uh, yeah. So we're working on comics and we're rocking. Um, what else? So again, I've established my light sources coming from like the top right. Um, and then I'm trying to kind of make the sky a little dark. I think I need to tone back some of this. This should be a little darker and toward the front. Maybe her head's a little more in shadow too. I just don't want to overdo it. Yeah, that kind of works. Yeah, so I'm excited about this getting done. Hopefully soon. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out in the broader market. You know. But I feel like those fundamentals of like drawing and art making and design, I don't think those are going to go anywhere. You can quote me on this in like 10 years when we all get replaced by robots or whatever. But for me, I think there's like something about the soul of art that's valuable. I think, again, I think there was a time, I remember actually this time, like in the 80s, like especially the late 80s, there was a lot of talk of the guitar just being completely replaced by synthesizers. And there was a period of time where like guitar sales slumped and stuff like that. Um, and but the weird thing is like the classic guitar is still a thing with music. Like people still like a really good guitarist. There's even bands that sound electronic. They sound like they're doing synths, but they're actually doing everything kind of traditionally on guitar, and that's kind of the appeal. There's artists like Chris Ware that are using, hand done inks and stuff like that, that they could easily do 20 times faster in Illustrator. And yet, like, a lot of people love Chris Ware because of the fact that he's not doing that in Illustrator. So I feel like there's examples that show that, art will never really fully be replaced by like an algorithm, hopefully. So anyhow, so that's what we're doing right now is we're putting together this stuff and seeing where we can get with it, Okay. Whew, this is going to take a bit of time. But again, I've set out that I'm not going to have lunch until I have finished this panel, and I will hold to that. We will finish this panel. My son is playing this game called Doors on Roblox. It's like a horror game where you have to like escape these. I don't know. It's like a bunch of doors that you have to get. Nice. Oh, he said now he's playing Geometry Dash. But anyhow, so you have to get through 100 doors and like avoid these kind of like creepy monsters in that game. That like, if you aren't hiding properly, like they'll come and get you, kind of thing. From what I understand of it. And there's 100 doors, and it's a pretty hard game from what I have heard. I don't know if you guys have played it. Let me know. But my son told me this morning that he got to door 92. So he's almost gotten through it. Like door 92. So pretty soon he's going to beat that game. I have no doubt. It's been pretty, like, one of the things I really like about having a kid is it kind of keeps you in touch with like things like that I would have like otherwise have no idea about. Like, I didn't know anything about Undertale, which I guess is like an internet phenomenon. But I didn't know anything about it till my son got into it. And then when he was into it, like, I learned a bunch about Undertale and stuff. So now if I like hear, Undertale music or whatever, I know what it's from, because my kid is kind of keeping me slightly in touch to what the kids are up to these days. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to add a little more shadow under this arm. Did I disconnect? Okay, there's like some connection issues for sure. I saw like a freeze there. I think that was just my video processor or whatever dealing with all this digital painting we're doing here. The brush really puts a lot of stress on the memory of this computer. And this isn't the newest Apple in the world. I had to get a laptop for work, and it's interesting to me that my laptop almost runs smoother than my desktop, because it's kind of an older computer. And this is a weird thing. To me, it doesn't seem that old, That happens to me a lot now, where I'll have something where I'm like, wow, I just bought that like last year or whatever. And then I look into it and it's like 20 years old. Okay. Let's continue. So it's the 3rd of January. Pretty exciting. Thinking about last year, it was last year was a interesting year. I feel like a lot of rough patches happened for me. Like there was a career change. There were some like, it's definitely been like financially a little more challenging than like a couple years past. But at the same time, it's like I had a pretty you know, and actually this is one of the roughest things is there's been a lot of people in my life, you know, friends, family, stuff like that, who've gotten sick and been, you know, fighting like cancer and stuff like that. So on its head, like a lot of bad things kind of went down last year. But weirdly enough, I haven't been in a better space like mentally in a long time. Like weirdly enough, like this last year, especially toward the end, has been just such a joyful experience. It's been really strange how like how good of an experience the last year, the end of last year has been um for me, which is really strange. It's been strange because it's like it shouldn't technically be like that. Like on paper, it doesn't make sense that that I've been having such a decent last year. Like it hasn't been it hasn't been the best year, like materially, but it's been a really great. I don't know. My mental space has been so much better, and I think a lot of that comes from just being in a job that I enjoy with people I like working with, and um, it's amazing how far that goes. You know, just having like just liking the people you work with goes a long way. That's huge. Okay, we finished the foreground characters, guys. We're gonna play a trailer for let's play Wordzoid by Jim Lujan, uh, and I'll be right back, and then we'll continue rocking this comic. I'd love to hear in the comments how your year is going so far, and what you're working on if you're working on something creative. And here is Wordzoid by Jim Lujan.
Well, Peter, since I'm such a big music fan, I'm going to have to go with Karen Carpenter. Oh, Stu, I'm sorry. That's the incorrect answer. Trish, what you got for us?
I'm gonna go with Kim Gordon.
All right, let's check that answer. Kim Gordon. Do we have a Kim Gordon? Yes, and that means you're our new Wordzoid champion, Trish. Dale, tell Trish what she's won.
Trish, you've won a copy of 2 stories, a memoir of faith and mental illness. Handwritten, hand-drawn, and handed to you by artist and writer Joshua Kemble. But wait, that's not all. You've also won a copy of Jacob's Apartment, the story of a doomed romance. What happens when you take Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and put it in a blender with Ghost World? You get Jacob's Apartment, written and illustrated by Joshua Kemble. Trish, thank you for playing Wordzoid.
All right, great job, Trish.
I was told I was gonna get a lifetime supply of paper towels.
All right. Okay, we're gonna maybe we'll start with the shadows cast by these 2 figures, and then work from there. Scott said, I'm here. Please recap everything you talked about for the past 40 minutes. I did a really terrible cover of The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel, which I'm sure will get this video demonetized. But I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a walk. I'm recapping you on it, Scott. I think I'm going to end up doing a sequential journey through my different guitars, just to like tell how I acquired them, and then like what their unique thing is, and then play them. So I think the next on the dock will be my first Telecaster that made me change. I switched from a Stratocaster to a Telecaster, like most guitarists will do, because it is the superior guitar. And you just have to play for a while to realize that. But anyhow, so I'm going to be probably showing that off on the next one. Just try to show my different guitars and play like something on them that I didn't practice or rehearse. So I botch it, I think, at the chorus. but yeah, that catches you up on that, Scott. And then I'm wearing my Young and the Dead shirt to, represent my buddy and the cool accomplishment that he's going to make this year. I was just saying too at the top that there's something to be said for like sticking through a big project like that. I mean, now that's going to be a graphic novel pretty soon. Like you're going to have the last issue, and then you better put it out collected. Um, and I mean, the fact that you've stuck through it, is just like a huge, that's a huge accomplishment, and like not a lot of cartoonists can do that. I feel like I remember when I finished my first graphic novel, a cartoonist I knew said, "You've joined an elite club of people who actually did it." Because there's a lot of people who just they wouldn't be able to wear or like get through a graphic novel. Now, keep in mind, like if I talk to somebody like Richard Fairgray, it's like, me having a couple graphic novels finished is a joke. Like that guy just knocks them out almost every year. He's doing 2 or 3 graphic novels. But for every Richard Fairgray, there's like a million people who start and never finish their big epic book, whether it's a graphic novel or a novel. And so, yeah, just the fact that that stick-to-itiveness to be able to get it done is a really cool thing, and I think that's going to feel pretty good to have hit it. Because like again, you're going to be joining that club of elites. I mean, you're already in the club, but my point is, that's just another notch on your belt, which is pretty cool, man. All right. And also, if you guys have not yet read Young and the Dead, you should hop on there. Scott said, I haven't decided if I'll do a Kickstarter for just a single issue or do a trade later, but eventually I will collect it. Nice. Yeah, and I feel like anyhow, yeah, I just think it's a really huge thing, and I think if people haven't started Young and the Dead yet, you guys should go to Scott's site and like pick up the issues so you too can kind of experience the grand conclusion of the story, which is as a friend, it's just fun to see. It's also like the thing that I think a lot of people hopefully realize as artists, is like the older you get, the more you realize that it, and this is a trope or a cliche, but it's like it really is not a competition. We're not like on a lifeboat like competing for resources, like in art, especially when you have artist friends, like there's something really cool about seeing your friends succeed or like accomplish something. It's like you get really, I don't know, it's encouraging. It's cool to see people accomplish great things in art or like set out to do something really cool. And so selfishly, I'm also really happy for Scott because it's going to give, just seeing that get accomplished is going to make me want to continue and get my thing done too. Right. Yeah, and I don't know, it's something, I think it's inspiring, Jim said, hey kiddo, how's it going, Jim? How you doing, bud? And Jim, are you going to be joining us on Artcasters tomorrow? Has Scott invited you yet? He better have. I think we wanted to have you and Gary on, hopefully go over what we're doing next year. And I just said year like a pirate, because I'm awesome like that. A year. What ye be doing? We should do that whole episode like pirates. What do you think, Scott? I feel like we should be like, welcome to Artcasters. It's Artcasters with extra R's. We could all talk to each other about, be like, I don't know. The problem is I don't know enough like nautical terms, to pull that off for more than maybe 5 minutes. New Year's resolution show. Yar. It be the year of the R. I think that would be hilarious. Nice. Jim said there's going to be 3 more episodes of Fake Explosion. I love it. Jim, I still think we need to collab on a song. We need to like get, I don't know if you rock the GarageBand for your stuff, but it would be fun for us to just build a track on GarageBand. Like, you're pretty good with the beats, so maybe we can start with a beat and then you can send it to me. I'll slap a bass on there. You're good with bass. You're good with everything, but the point being, we should do a little collab. And it should be a song that makes people want to get down and make love. You know what I mean? It needs to be a song that would make people make babies. I think we could do that, Jim, with your and my power combined. I think we could really solve the world's population crisis, where there's like less people reproducing in the last, year or whatever. I think we could solve that with just a song. In fact, we should write a song that's, got an intro about that, like where it could say not enough people are, making babies, and this song, is part of our live aid to baby making. Jim said it's on, let's do it. I love that. So maybe that'll have to happen. Sorry guys, I know that was saucy. That was saucy to talk about some saucy music, just the talk of it, I think is shocking to people. There's a lot of people like putting their bonnets over their eyes to shield their eyes from the wild discussion we were just having. Okay, so we got kids here, some relatively creepy looking little kids. I'm not going dark enough with this kid, so that the shadow should be a little heavier on this kid. And again, we're just aiming to do, this one panel. What are you guys working on? I saw Scott here. What are you guys working on as we speak? I know that once I'm done with this, before I get on to roughing out the next pages, I'm going to start doing roughs for the pitch that I was going to work on with, now I'm blanking out, with Bill Myers. He and I were going to collaborate on a project, and I have yet to have had the time to kind of do that. So what I'm going to do is just make the time. So I think after I'm done coloring this page, we'll kind of pause this project at 96 pages and then try to rough out and complete 5 pages of that project. At least get the roughs going for it, and then maybe we'll get back on track with this as well, so we can kind of work on those two in tandem. Nice. Scott said, I wanted to listen to Fake Explosion on my drive to LBC, but I didn't think I could get on board with that. I'm going to have a listen, give it a listen soon. I will say this, you have committed heresy, Scott. If you ever drive to Long Beach, you have to next time let me know, because that's my stomping grounds, man. I'm just teasing. I know you guys were like doing visiting relatives and friends thing, but still, how was Long Beach? And how did the harbor look on New Year's? I bet that was real pretty. We used to live right near there. Pretty close to, like, walkably from 2nd Street. Me, wife, and I, back in our pirate days, where we would peruse the harbor side for boats to steal. Anyhow, we are making some sweet progress here. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Smash it with the hammer of your finger. Just like. That's what you guys need to do. Okay. We are getting closer to finishing up this panel, which is pretty exciting. I think it takes about an hour a panel, maybe an hour and a half a panel to shade them on this page. Probably because, like a lunatic, I decided to have, crowd scenes all over the place. This isn't a crazy crowd scene, though. Scott said I would have called, but there was so much drama in the LBC. It's hard to be Scott, SCOT, double T. Nice. Some LBC shout outs. Scott's going to be doing the Crip Walk before the day is done. Jim said, did you happen to get that Connie Coltrane song I sent you? I think I did. Did you send it to me on Instagram? I need to re-listen to it, but it was pretty, from what I recall, I think it was pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like, Jim, here's a question. If tomorrow you could just solely make a living of one of two things, one would be doing your animation. Number two would be just creating fake bands. Which would you pick if you were forced? If it's like Jim Lujan, you can have one of these two things. Which would you pick? Because I know technically, if your animations could just be it, I think that would include the fake bands. But let's pretend we're in a universe where you had to pick between the two, where it would be you can make fake bands with awesome music, or you can make your animations. I'll be right back. I gotta go see what my kid wants. So in the meantime, we're gonna listen to Kids Say Kemble.
We know that George, you can't say the craziest thing.
So, little Susie, do you have any brothers or sisters? I understand you're in 3rd grade. How do you like that? Do you like your teacher? You like to do a lot of fun things at school? You got any hobbies, Susie? Any things you like to do when you're not in school? I hear you like to read.
Well, right now I'm reading 2 stories, written and illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It grapples with faith and mental illness. It's ultimately a story about redemption. It's a savage piece of writing. Also, I just finished up Jacob's Apartment, another one by Kemble. Jacob's Apartment weaves together elements of spiritualism and relationship dynamics, as well as atheism, and all the while it deals with abandonment and loyalty. It's a fierce read.
Do you like ponies?
Okay. Scott said he's wrapping up his variant cover for the next Gold Key Comics title, which is really exciting. And he said, I'll announce what that is tomorrow night on Artcasters. Nice. I'm excited. I still haven't gotten my Gold Key comic. I'm I ordered that a while ago. I know they had printer issues, but I'm like, come on, man. Send it. Yeah, I ordered that book. And I think it's already come out in stores, but I think it had something to do with the printing. So I'll have to look into that and make sure that actually is going to happen. Or maybe it did ship and I just left it. I don't know, but I would think I would notice a beautiful hardcover being sent. So anyhow, I don't want to trash talk. I'm not trash talking. I'm just looking forward to when they do send that Boris Karloff book. Oh, nice. Okay, Scott said it's en route from China. Yeah, they had some like printing issues and stuff like that. And honestly, I think it's going to be a beautiful book. It's got like a slip cover, very exciting. You know, so and it's Boris Karloff. That's worth the wait. You know. But Scott doing something with Gold Key is huge and very cool. I still think they need to hire Jeff to do covers. I mean, I don't know if you even want to, but it would be cool. Like, I can't think of anybody, like, especially for like the more mystery stuff. Like, I feel like, yeah, I still think they need to get Lafferty to do like a paint. Like, I would love like a Jeff Lafferty, like Boris Karloff presents cover. That would be the coolest thing on the planet. But a Scott Circlin cover is going to be amazing. Nice. Chris said, hey, I caught one of these streams. Yay. Hey, Chris. How's it going, buddy? Yeah, I'm going to be streaming all day. All day. Yeah, that's right. We've been talking about all sorts of stuff. Jim and I were talking about potentially collaborating on a song that will solve the crisis in the world of not enough people making babies. We're going to make a song that makes people make babies. So that's going to happen. Scott was revealing that tomorrow on Artcasters, he's going to be revealing the book that he's working on the cover for Gold Key Comics, which is a legendary comic book company. And we've been fortunate enough to have the creators of Gold Key on Artcasters because one of them is really good buddies with Scott. And we're going to find out what is Scott working on for Gold Key, which is pretty exciting. I like that. Chris said, I vote for Circworks variants on all the covers. I agree with that, too. I think Scott needs to be the main cover artist. He said this new title is more of a graphic design and not painterly, but Jeff should definitely do a Karloff cover. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, just for the painterly stuff. Because I think Gold Key has like specific looks. There's a look of Gold Key that Scott would be perfect for. And then there's that other look of Gold Key that I think like I feel like Jeff and Scott together could basically do everything for Gold Key. Like they should just have you guys both be their full-time cover artists. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Gold Key's really exciting. I think that just relaunching is really good for comics. So it was one of the most exciting Artcasters I think we've done was when we had them on and they talked about their vision for Gold Key. And you could just tell, like you could tell their passion for comics. So we're going to get through the rest of this panel and then I'm going to eat lunch. But we're getting there. There's a fish in here that needs to get shaded. What are you working on, Chris? How are you doing? What are you working on? May said, he's working on that ass. That's the funniest thing. My sister-in-law is awesome, is all I'm saying. Okay.
Josh, look. We got more scoops.
Oh, nice.
This is the best barbecue sauce.
I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but this barbecue sauce is amazing.
And also, these are the cutest Valentines for Benji's class.
And then Mai picked up some Valentines
No,
for
show
Benji's
them what
class.
they are. Scented pizza erasers and scented donut erasers.
Scented pizza and donut erasers. It's pretty exciting. Chris said, hi, Mai.
Hi, konnichiwa.
I love it.
Kodomo genki ka?
I love it. So we are getting through here. Chris said he's waving enthusiastically.
Very nice.
Okay. We are. Chris said Ji-chan is hanging out with the kiddo now.
Oh, Gigi.
She is pretty adorable. Chris made a pretty adorable little baby. Like, they made, who's not a baby anymore, but still. You done good, Chris. You done good. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Christina had quite a bit to do with that as well. Jim said, I had no idea Mai spoke French. She's fluent in French. That's why every time I tell a joke that's actually funny, which is maybe once every 3 years, she'll laugh with a French laugh by being like, oui, oui. Yeah. Chris said LOL. Nice. Chris also said, whoa, that means I speak French too. It's true. Chris, a lot of people don't know this about Chris Kawagua, but he was a member of the French Resistance during World War II. And one thing you'll realize about Chris is, and this part, the French Resistance part might be a tall tale, but this other part's totally true. Chris never ages. Like, the last time I met up with Chris, he looked about as young as he did in college. Like, he just doesn't age. I think that, like, he built like a fake carbonite thing with Han Solo, and I think that actually is a real carbonite containment that he puts himself in to just kind of avoid aging. It's like a non-aging back to tank kind of scenario that Kawagua has. But anyhow, a lot of people don't realize that Chris is actually, was in the French Resistance in World War II. Just a lot of people look at him and they're like, he's too young for that. No, it's the carbonite. It's the carbonite that keeps him from looking like he was in the French Resistance. That's also why Chris wears a lot of funny French hats and occasionally dresses like a mime. A lot of people don't realize that's the French. See, here's the French revealing itself. He says, "Ah, oui, Paris, baguettes, French fries." Anyhow, if any one of my viewers or listeners is French, my apologies to you. My apologies for speaking such fluent French that it puts people who speak French natively to shame. Anyhow, so Jim said Kawagua means adult babyface handsome man in French. Exactly. I think that's the title of a comic right there. I think we need to make a story called Adult Babyface Handsome Man. That would be an amazing just title for a comic. Did I just freeze? Did I freeze if you guys are watching this? I feel like I froze a little bit. Like the internet knows that I'm about to finish this panel. and it seems to be lagging. Okay. We're getting through this. We got our fish lady here. Have you guys ever heard the joke about where did George Washington keep his armies? Yeah, I'm going to give it a minute. I'm going to see if anybody in chat already knows this joke. If you know the punchline, say it. Say it in chat. Because I'm going to say it in a minute. I've set you up if you guys have heard this joke before. Where did George Washington keep his armies? Okay. Think about that, guys. Think about that for a minute. Okay, are you ready? Oh, Chris said the upcoming novel, Le Caligula, the increasingly anachronistic, culturally misplaced adventures of a tall tale teller. Le Caligula. See, I think the reason people don't connect it with French is because, like, the proper pronunciation is Caligula. You know? A lot of people miss the in the pronunciation at the end. Just like my wife, you know, her French pronunciation is my. It doesn't work as well.
Does Chris have a Japanese first name?
Oh, that's a good question. Chris, do you have a Japanese first name? This is also buying us time for people to beat me to the punchline on the where did George Washington keep his armies. Okay, while Chris is
in his sleeveys.
Yeah, oh, my did the punchline. Wait, you got to say it in the mic. Okay, where did George Washington keep his armies?
In his sleeveys.
She said it. Did you guys catch that? In his sleeveys.
Oui, but of course.
I think it froze. It's
no.
being all laggy. Look at that.
名前何ですか?
I'm like moving all over the place. Like I'm glitching. Oh, Chris said sleeveys. Yes, in his sleeveys because it's his armies, you know. It's the dumbest joke ever. I love that one. That's like a grandpa joke. I wish you guys could see, like, we have a dog that's obsessed with my wife. Like, he is so obsessed with her that while she's standing here, he was just standing right here, and I wish I could show you guys. Bernie.
Adult baby face handsome man.
There's Bernie. Okay, there he is. See? This is what he does when Mai goes anywhere. He just kind of stands near her. In fact, he's moving towards her. He's like under the desk. He needs his mom. There he goes. Anyhow, I just thought that was funny. Okay, guys, we have a little bit left. A little bit left to do. Let's get that second cam back in black. Okay. So, Chris, have you made a video of, like, you need to make a YouTube video showing off your secret bookshelf door. I want to see this thing, man. If you have made it, let me know. But you need to make a YouTube video showing this door in action. I really want to see it. I can't explain how much, for like a good chunk of my life, I have wanted a secret bookshelf door, and also secret paintings on the wall that have cutout eyes. You know, I think those two things are something people of our generation pretty much like would unanimously agree is kind of like awesome. Like that's a status symbol right there. Oh, nice. Chris said he just understood the joke. Arm here, let me show it so you guys who might have been lost on that. Arm ease, sleeve ease. Jim said Japanese First Name was a great band. I saw them second stage Coachella 2018. Nice. Okay, so we are getting there, guys. Yeah, Chris said haunted portraits and secret doors. With our forces combined, we can truly make our own mystery mansion. That's true. I do have some haunted portraits in my house that I painted. I still need to make one of my sister-in-law though, since she's pretty much a member of our family here in this little household, you know? And I think she needs one too. So I'm going to have to make one of her. And it would be fun to make one of our dogs. I think a haunted portrait of our dogs would be good. It might be funny to do a haunted portrait of our fish. Especially our murderous goldfish. That's like the fattest, chubbiest fish in the planet. So our chubby, murderous fish's name is Kubota, and Mai's sister May was saying that we should have named him Moriarty. He is kind of a supervillain goldfish. I was reading I think it was the second Dogman book to Ben the other day, and there's like a telekinetic, a psychokinetic goldfish, or not goldfish. It's like an angelfish, but it's got like murderous tendencies, and then its brain powers extend, and it becomes an evil kind of, an evil goldfish with like psycho kinetic or telekinetic brain powers. And when I was reading this, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Kubota! It's our goldfish." It's like he knew ahead of time that we were going to have a murderous supervillain goldfish who's super adorable. Chris was saying the dogs are a must. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Yeah, I still think CK passed a couple years back, but it would still be fun to do one over Pug, because he was a very silly looking dog. A very silly looking dog. And something about pugs and just how goofy they look. It's the eyes. He was even goofier when he was a puppy, because his eyes used to point in two different directions. So like one of his eyes would point out this way and the other would point out the other way. It was very funny. So it would, like, even if he was looking at you, it would look like he was looking off into the corner while he was looking at you. It's pretty cute. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. I've almost earned myself the ability to have lunch.
Still making it.
Okay. So we have just this background on the left going. That's all we have left. I also need to make sure I fill in that little gap between her mouth and her fingers. That would be important. And then we're going to do this little spot. Chubby Murderous Fish was the first album from Japanese First Name. That's the funniest thing. So I am excited. I don't know if I told you guys this, but I am recording with No Saboteurs, which is basically just me and my buddy Josh now. And we've been working on it. We have like about 6 tracks completed. And we both just by happenstance ended up with banjos for Christmas because we both are both named Josh, and we both for some reason one of us will discover a band at the same time the other one discovered the same band. We have that kind of connection. And we both got banjos, and so we recorded a banjo track without really knowing how to play banjo, and it sounds pretty awesome. So I can't wait to share it with you guys. Chris said, man, Jim knows his underground bands. Tokyo street cred. Nice. Yeah, Jim is like the Fast and the Furious guys, where he just shows up in Tokyo and his knowledge of music. They're like, you know how to drift? That's crazy, man. And the only reason I think that's in those movies is because my son was really obsessed with cars. And there was what was it? Cars? Maybe it was just. Oh, it was Mater. So there was a bunch of shorts of Mater from Cars, and called Mater's Tall Tales. And in one of them, Mater goes to Japan, and I think it's a parody of Fast and the Furious, which I've never seen any of those movies. But all of the Japanese cars try to get Mater to learn how to drift. Okay. We are going to get this whole area working. If you guys haven't hit the like button, what are you doing with your life? Are you just going to let that like button just sit there and waste away when it's there? The opportunity to click it is right in front of you, and you can do it, and it costs nothing. Click that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching even. But if you're watching and you're not subscribed, consider. Be a man of action or a woman of action. Or anything you want to be of action. This year, it's only the 3rd day of the new year. Take action. Hit like. Now. Get to the chopper. I just imagine somebody watching this starting to feel gradual more and more pressure to hit like. They're like, oh man, just enjoying this stream. Now I feel like put on the spot. I have to stop what I'm doing and click a like button. I don't know, man. You're asking a lot. Jim said, Tokyo Street Cred, another great bet. Never mind. No, Jim, continue the joke. Commit. It's cool. I love that one. That's a classic. Chris said you should read synopses on how wild these Fast and Furious movies got. The characters started out as car thieves and became unkillable superheroes at this point. No joke, they even went to space? What? Well, I mean, I'm sure they're kind of fun movies. Like, because I mean, I've heard they have like car fights. It's like it's like if you took like, you know, and when I was a kid, do you guys remember Herbie the Love Bug? I feel like that's all Fast and the Furious is, right? Isn't it just like Herbie the Love Bug? I don't know. Do they have talking cars? Do the cars in Fast and the Furious become like Kit, like in Knight Rider? Because if they don't, I'm not interested. No, but I've heard of things like where they'll like drive cars past each other and be like shooting and, you know, yeah. Chris was saying they keep making money and they are entertaining for sure. Well, I like the thing so I can sometimes be a snob about movies, but there are some things that I don't think are meant to be like good. In fact, I think if they were good, they wouldn't be good. I feel like that about a lot of martial arts flicks, where it's like I'm not watching Ong Bak for like the incredible plot. I'm watching Ong Bak because I want to see cool fights. You know, um, I want to see like incredible acrobatics that aren't even real martial arts. Like they're so blown out of proportion. You know, I want to see Legend of Drunken Master 2. I really want to see Jackie Chan fighting with a sword under a train in like 2 feet of space. You know, I don't need a great plot. But my points out, like sometimes when they have a really awesome plot, it's like twice as good. But there are some times where if they like tried to make a good plot, it wouldn't be as good as like, you know, yeah, just like a plot of like you have to fight these bad guys for the entire movie. Because like a lot of early Jackie Chan films, I feel like had really great martial arts plots where it'd be like your dad owns a store, there's a gangster threatening the store, you have to fight a bunch of gangsters in New York. It's like otherwise you'll lose the store, you know. I don't know. Or I'm trying to remember the cool movie that had just the cops that had to get to the top of the building. I'm blanking out on the name, and it's one of my favorite martial. Oh, The Raid. That's a great plot. The Raid's just there's drug dealers in this giant house, and you know the boss is at the top of the building, and in this apartment complex that's just full of villains, and the boss is at the top of the building. So much like a video game, fight your way through the different floors to get to the top of the building. It's the best plot ever. Yeah, Chris said The Raid. Yeah, yeah, that's just an incredible martial arts movie. I would be bummed if they got like really deep with the plot. Like, I would have been like, I don't know if we need all this exposition. Let's just fight. You know, I don't know. I think there's some movies that are supposed to be spectacle, and I would imagine, even though I haven't seen Fast and the Furious, I feel like that movie should be kind of dumb, like in a good way. You know. Even thinking about it, like I don't think Bullet, a lot of car chase movies, like Steve McQueen's Bullet, did that have like an incredible plot? I feel like it kind of didn't. I think it was just a bunch of excuses to have a cool car chase. The French Connection. Yeah, I don't even remember the plot from Bullet. I just remember the cool car chase. The French Connection. I don't remember the plot of that. I just remember the cool car chase, you know? I didn't need a plot. I just wanted to see like people, bust through Chicago like maniacs. Or like race through San Francisco on like really crazy streets in cool cars, looking cool. Yeah, Chris actually described Ong Bak very well. He said, "I'm literally going to fight you using an elephant." Or Ong Bak 2, where it's like, I am surrounded by 300 people and I'm going to take them down in 5 minutes. So good. So good. My wife was teasing me for my giggle, so I don't think I can do the SpongeBob giggle, which I think is the best one. I don't know if I can do that. Like the I feel like that's the funniest giggle on the planet. I will say this, like when a couple years back, we started watching like SpongeBob episodes. At first because it's like, maybe Ben will find these funny. And then I think my wife and I were like rediscovering how good SpongeBob is. It's so good. That show is brilliant. It's like so funny. It's just incredible. That they were it's one of those shows that it's kind of amazing that became a thing. There's occasional like shows like that, like kids programs or TV shows where I'm like, how did this get greenlit? It's so good and creative and like out of the box, but just brilliant, Let's see here. But yeah, the Raid was so good. I feel like they had a really good Judge Dredd movie come out a couple years back. That was just incredible. Not the Stallone one, but it was basically just the Raid with Judge Dredd. It was the same exact plot, but it was just like, except it's Judge Dredd, which was the right way to do a Judge Dredd story for sure. But that's how good the Raid was. It could be remade with like Judge Dredd and still be a good movie. Because it's like, yeah, that's great. It's just a bunch of action to get to the top floor, which I guess all of them, in theory, like that plot is pretty much Die Hard, where it's like you just have to fight a bunch of bad guys to get to the top floor. Yeah, Chris was saying Dredd was solid. Yeah, it was great. They finally got him right, he's a brutal over policing cop, The judge, jury, and executioner. Okay. Yeah, there's some movies where I feel like it gets away with being just spectacle because it's not pretending to be anything other than just sheer spectacle. Another example would be Shaft. It's a great movie. I love that movie. So again, like I'll get into like artsy films and a lot of my favorite movies are like quiet, very thoughtful stuff, but I'll get down to a kung fu flick 9 times out of 10. Jim said, I wish they wouldn't have cut the car chase out of Driving Miss Daisy and the martial arts. That would have been better. I think they should remake Driving Miss Daisy. This time, Miss Daisy's driving. And she has a license not to drive, but to kill. Was that Katharine Hepburn, or who was the lady in that? Well, she had a voice. No, I don't think it was Katharine Hepburn. I just imagine. I don't. It's been a while since I see that, so I had an audio image in my head of Katharine Hepburn being like, "Well, now I'll tell you what's going on with that." Okay, so we have our have I ever told you guys about my desire to like have seen Nicolas Cage and Jimmy Stewart in the same movie because of their accents, like their voices, or be like Nicolas Cage, Jimmy Stewart, Nicolas Cage, Jimmy Stewart. It would be that movie would have shut down. It just, I don't know. There's something about Jimmy Stewart and Cage together. All right. You guys, thanks for hanging with me while I made this art stuff that we do, talking movies and sharing our French culture and our French roots. If you guys haven't yet, please hit that like button and thank you if you have. You are doing me a solid by doing that. We're gonna call it for this stream. I'll be live streaming later today because I have a bunch of this to do, but I also am a human being and I need to eat food of some sort relatively soon because it's lunchtime. Well, a little past lunchtime. But we did it. We did it. We rocked it. There's one thing I need to fix before we close it out. Is anyone in the chat's going to be streaming during the time that I am not? Because if you are, now is the time to speak or hold your peace, because I can try to send everybody your way. So I'll give it a second. Oh, Jim said public decree. And when he said it, he spoke like this. He says, public decree. Chris K back on Artcasters 2024. He said it like that. I just had to quote it. And then Chris already said it. Okay, Artcasters this year. I think maybe we can talk scripts. I still need to read through a script. And maybe I know that there is a project. I don't know how public Chris wants to be about it, but maybe we could talk through a little bit of that because that would be fun. And also maybe we could get people to check out the Sunless Circus by Chris Caligula. That whole series by Chris is really cool. And you can find that on Sketchboy. Is it Sketchboy 07? Chris Caligula. If you search for Chris Caligula online, it will take you to his site and you can check out those comics. But yes, we should definitely have him back on. And he said, it's all public with my personal projects. Nice. So that needs to happen. Jim Lujan said, your Katharine Hepburn sounds like the lead singer of Midnight Oil. Maybe Katharine Hepburn was the lead singer of Midnight Oil. I'm going to leave that mind-blowing thought with you to ponder in my absence. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet, ladies and gents. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and being my friend. I'm gonna go ahead and flatten these layers. I'm gonna flatten these layers. Okay, there we go. Everything's all set. I'll be live streaming again, so make sure you're subscribed and you've hit that bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live, especially if you have art projects to work on, because we can hang out and work on projects together. All right. Have a good night, day, afternoon. I need to eat. I will see you guys on the next live stream. Thanks. And make sure you check out everybody's art in the live stream too. Everybody who's in the chats right now. I think every single person in the chats is a pretty incredible cartoonist or animator in their own right. And so you should check out their stuff and subscribe to their channels as well. And I'll see you guys on the next live stream. Bye. Goodbye.